No Other Life presents Upstaged. Folly. When I first started to play around with the theme of this piece, I knew that the collection that it would go with was what ended up becoming called Naki's Woods. And collectively, it's about discovery of the self through the eyes of a younger person who is growing up. And the metaphor for it is a walk in the woods and watching a young girl experiencing things for her first time, in spite of them not being, by a long stretch, the first time that we experience them. But it's that seeing things with new life, seeing things with new eyes. And as I played with the theme, bum-ba-da-bum, I just started to picture, in that same vein as the young girl, a baby bear. And when you see, probably more often in video footage than you do in person, a little baby bear, there's always a couple of them. They pal around, and there's usually a mother bear around. I assume a mother, but who knows. And they're just goofing around. They're exploring and learning all at the same time. And they'll climb partway up a log and then for some reason just fall off it. Or they try to shimmy up a tree vertically and get scared and shimmy back down, or get distracted by some other animal that has every intention of very easily getting away from them. That might be a bird or something. And when we think about this, when we think about youthful, innocent animals playing, whether they're human or some other type of animal, it's really that element of folly that attracts me. And I've thought before about what happens when you're watching a group of children playing together. There's always an implicit leader and someone that is just in total awe of this other person. And in my life, that comes out now and then with the people that I hang around with and their children. And I just love to watch and see that awe that a young child has for an older child. And they're all tiny to us. But then I think back, when I was in second grade, a sixth grader would have seemed like a giant adult, like they could do no wrong. And that's the way that you can tell these other children are feeling. And when they're all playing together, of course, the younger usually look up to the older, as you would expect. But there's still that incredible innocence, and I just love to watch that in children. And it really helps me to think about that from time to time, especially with the fact that I'm living with Parkinson's disease. I have come up as a Generation Xer, and I've long said that with Generation X, I can't help but love soda and Pop-Tarts and be skeptical and, bitter about a lot of things. I really think that's a product of the age that I grew up in, but it also comes to me as a result of having this illness. And from time to time, I hear people that also have PD, and they will talk about it in ways that sound like they want, please deal me some different cards. This isn't what I was hoping for. And it's not. It's not what anybody would hope for. But in keeping with the philosophy that I outlined in the very first introduction to this series, it's eminently important that we realize that we are a product of all the things that we bring to the table. And that's not just the good. You know, if you look at social media, you see people doing good things and showing off their good things and saying the good things and putting up a no filter. But it really means I did everything I could beforehand to not then have to do anything in post, if they're being honest in the first place. And I'm being critical and kind of lighthearted as well. But it's very true. It's very true that we live in a world where we try to present our best selves. We try to say only the good things about us, unless we're trying to draw up support or sympathy or something of that nature. And when I see people who are out there expressing the way that they are living in Parkinson's world on social media, it's no filter. It's the way that we all are living. And these people saying the good and the bad, that's important. And I trust it's the same with other communities out there, other people who are going through some level of adversity, who may be looking to find their community, to find comfort, looking for answers. Those are the things that we need to do, and you can't get those answers. You can't find that support system unless and until you realize, oh, I need to be open. I need to be an open vessel that tells people what's on my mind. And I think that when we're that young cub, that young bear who's climbing up the log and falling off, our lives are not thinking in that way. We are extremely open. We're the young kid who looks at the big kid and doesn't have any it's not wearing a mask to say, oh, geez, I don't want them to know how much I think they're cool. They just stare at the older kid. And as they're going through and learning more and discovering more, one of the things that they're going to learn and discover is to block that part of you, to not let people know this is your first time doing this experience, that this is the way that you were told to feel when you grew up, and now you're conflicted about it, and, well, let's talk about it. And this is the disease that you were offered, or this is the level of wealth that you have come into, and you don't know what to do because you're struggling. Any one of these requires someone to be completely honest. And I ask you, how many people really do that? Now, there's a tactful way to do it. There's an untactful way to do it. And many different levels in between. But I really believe, and I have for a very long time, that the best way to live a life that feels authentic, that feels like something that you want to report about, that you want to share with other people, is by being honest. And we'll get into that much more in other episodes for sure, because that's very important to me. But I'm just thinking about it today in the context of youth. It's that folly of life where this is fun, so I'm not going to say anything other than it's fun. And I think that's pretty cool. The track is called rnunge, which is Swedish for baby bear, and you can find it on my album Naki's Woods. That was rnunge, or Baby Bear, from the album Naki's Woods. If you found this piece was A-OK, I'd encourage you to unplug your headphones and plug them in to the microphone jack on your very old Walkman. Hit record, get it queued up, and then you'll be able to listen to it whenever you want. Or you could head over to ricchome.com for the latest news, archived social media, and to purchase any of the music you hear on this podcast. Both Upstaged and the No Other Life Project are independently conceived of and managed by me, Rick Seaholm, ad-free and without interruption for all listeners. I really appreciate your support. Please subscribe, leave a review, and spread the word. That's the number one way to keep this going. Friends, you have no other life, and it's the grandest improv session of them all. Own what you bring to this scene, and share it with all whom you meet.